Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stew again. In this video, we're going to continue checking out the planned Brightline West route from Southern California to Las Vegas. If you haven't already seen it, check out my first video on the subject in the card. That's Rancho Cucamonga to Apple Valley. This video is going to cover the rest of the route to the Las Vegas area. Let's get to it. Here we are just outside Apple Valley off Dale Evans Parkway, facing the future site of the Brightline West Apple Valley Station facilities. We're currently moving west. The train will be heading north out of the Apple Valley Station, perpendicular to roughly where we are now. Seems like the tracks will be elevated over Dale Evans Parkway, but they will have to quickly duck under the high tension power lines ahead. The tracks will end up at grade with the freeway here on the east side of the freeway right away. That's on our right at this point. Now that we're getting on the freeway on the way to Vegas, let me address the format of this video and a couple of things that will be different from the video for the Rancho Cucamonga to Apple Valley section. I see 3 points of interest in this video. First, general information and a general overview of the project. Second, project specifics as they pertain to the route. Third, seeing the trip simulated at estimated speed from a perspective roughly equivalent to what you might experience on the train once it is built. To the first point, general information. I'm going to pack all that in the beginning, so if that's what you're here for, hang in there for a few more seconds. Second point, more specific route information. I'm going to present that as I come up upon the area of interest in real time. Each of those points will represent the beginning of a chapter, so if you're here for that, you can simply jump between chapters. If you're along for the ride, buckle up because there is about an hour and 20 minutes of footage at simulated speed. Speaking of simulated speed, the environmental impact report doesn't spell it out for this area, but I have it at 110 miles per hour. It could end up faster in reality. We are moving through an undeveloped area between Apple Valley and Barstow. It's going to look like this for a while, so let's talk about the project. Brightline West is an effort by Brightline to install a passenger rail line between Southern California and Las Vegas. This line will have stations at Rancho Cucamonga, Hesperia, Apple Valley, and just south of Paradise, Nevada on Las Vegas Boulevard. Speaking of the Apple Valley station, let's talk about that briefly since we just left it. Apple Valley will be a passenger terminal as well as a maintenance and storage facility, and will sit on about 300 acres on the very north edge of Apple Valley, adjacent to Interstate 15 on the east side near the Dale Evans Parkway interchange. Trains will enter and exit the freeway right away into the station from the east side of the freeway in both directions, and will transition from the east side to the median of the freeway eventually as it continues to Las Vegas or Rancho Cucamonga. You may be curious why have this station out in the middle of nowhere. That is because Brightline West is an extension and modification of an older project called Desert Express that originally proposed to run a train from Las Vegas into the high desert area. Brightline purchased this project a few years ago as the basis for what is currently planned. Brightline estimates that this 218-mile route will cost about $10 billion and take about 4 years to construct. Brightline hopes to keep costs and complications to a minimum by running the train mostly within the Interstate 15 right-of-way. Once complete, Brightline plans to run a train in both directions every 45 minutes for most of the day, with stops at Hesperia in the morning and evening for commuters. See Part 1 for more information about that. Initial plans are to single-track most of this portion, with some small passing sidings to facilitate the 45-minute headways. They also plan to expand to 22.5-minute headways in the 11th year of operation, and that will require double tracking a large majority of this portion. I'll point out the parts that will remain single tracked as we go. As laid out in the environmental impact reports, Brightline expects the trip from Rancho Cucamonga to Las Vegas to take 2 hours and 20 minutes with a top speed of 180 miles per hour. This is an average of 97 miles per hour in motion overall. The trip from Apple Valley to Las Vegas is 169 miles and is set to take 1 hour and 37 minutes. This is an average of 105 miles per hour. There's a video of a Brightline West official saying that Apple Valley to Vegas will take 90 minutes with a top speed of 200 miles an hour. Thanks to Brian Bundridge for pointing that out in the comments of the last video. that would be an average of 113 miles per hour, which will be reality. We shall see, assuming it gets built. And that segues nicely into the topic of funding. Brightline is planning to partially fund this roughly $10 billion project with bonds. They would also like to get some money from the federal government by the way of funding programs for intercity rail. When they start, seems to be contingent on adequate funding being secured. They wanted to start construction a few years ago, but then COVID happened. Now they're waiting for the pieces to fall into place again, and we are currently waiting to hear more. A word on the speed in various parts of the video. Information on speed comes from two parts of the environmental impact reports. One is timetables where they provide likely times for the trip. From that we can figure out average speed for a given part between stations. Second is sound and vibration analysis where Brightline lays out speed limits for various parts of the route. This is what the speeds look like based on the sound and vibration analysis speed limits. This is simplified slightly for presentation and not exact. And this is a best guess of what speeds might look like in service, combining that information with the timetables information. Bear in mind, this is very lightly informed speculation. So that's all for the project information. Enjoy the ride, and don't forget to check out the chapters for more information on the route if you don't want to watch the whole thing. We're approaching the outskirts of Barstow at this point. The track would be on the right side of the freeway. This is where the tracks will rise, transition to the median, and then come back down to freeway grade in the median. It is also worth noting that this is the beginning of one of the permanently single-tracked sections, and that extends all the way through Barstow until the right-of-way reaches the Mojave River. We are still at simulated 110 miles per hour here. We're now approaching the intersection of Interstate 15 and State Route 58. This is the beginning of a slower speed section that runs through most of Barstow. Simulated speed here is 90 miles per hour, but could be slower in service. The track will still be in the median at grade. Coming up on the Mojave River crossing now, this is going to be the only bridge of notable length in this section at about 1,000 feet in length. Once on the other side, the permanent single track section ends. This portion after will still be single tracked when initially constructed, but would then be double tracked if the planned 11th year expansion to 22.5 minute headways occurs. We're now at Fort Irwin Road between Barstow and Yermo. Simulated speed here increases to 110 miles per hour based on the environmental impact report speed limits. Approaching Mineola Road just outside of Yermo, and this is the first section that I would speculate could be high speed based on speed limits provided in the EIR and the relatively flat nature of the terrain and relatively straight nature of the freeway right-of-way. Simulated speed here is 180 miles per hour. This continues for about 24 miles until we hit some more varied terrain near the Alton Canyon area. This area represents a series of lower passes, broad canyons, and narrow valleys. There are a fair amount of elevation changes and some fairly tight curves that will likely constrain train speed. This area also contains another permanent single-tracked area which is featured in the next chapter. I have the simulated speed here at 80 miles per hour. I could definitely be wrong about that, but in order for the train to possibly hit 180 miles per hour elsewhere for more than a second, it will also have to travel significantly below the average of 105 miles per hour in certain portions, and this area is among the most logical stretches for that to happen. Almost at the Basin Road interchange, the area on the left is a rarely wet, dry lake bed that functions as an overflow area during extremely high flow of the Mojave River. I'm not sure if this is an influence on this area never being double tracked, but a permanent single track section is right around here, and I have seen water in this area, so it does happen. The bridge we just crossed over connects the dry lake bed to the river. We're now approaching Baker and are mostly out of the twisty part. There are still grades to be dealt with, particularly approaching Halloran Summit. The grade is over 2% in a straight line for about 15 miles and is over 2.5% for about 6 of that. The speed limit through Baker is 125 miles per hour. I'm assuming that is sustainable through the Halloran grade, but could be slower. I have the simulated speed here at 125 miles per hour. The train is still in the median at grade. We're just about to reach Halloran Summit, and then we'll end up in Shadow Valley. The portion of Interstate 15 through this area is nearly dead straight, and the grade is less than 1% through most of the valley. Because of this, I think it's possible this area may end up high speed for 8 or 10 miles. I did some research on acceleration, and a train can comfortably get from 125 to 180 in about a mile, so I don't think it's unreasonable here. As a result, I have the simulated speed here at 180 miles per hour. I'm pulling into the Valley Wells rest area because if this train gets built, this will be a great place to watch it. Imagine standing here and watching a train blow by at 180 miles per hour, or imagine being stuck in traffic around here and watching a train blow past. I think the presence of the train will be a big selling point for its use in the long term. The grade gets steeper approaching Mountain Pass. It's a windy and steep area not conducive for a fast train. There's a single track only section here between the two overpasses you'll see. There are also a couple of 45-degree curves coming out of the pass toward Nevada that are barely okay for road traffic at speed. There are also impacts on the Mojave National Preserve, which is on either side of the freeway in this area. As a result, I'm simulating this area at 80 miles per hour. point of interest here, you see part of the gigantic Ivanpah thermal solar power plant on the left. Brightline plans to have a substation here that will pull power directly from this plant. So in addition to being zero direct emission as an electric vehicle, it will also be solar powered for at least part of the route. Plus it's just cool to look at, assuming you're not looking directly at it. Now we're down into Ivanpah Valley. This is a long, pretty flat stretch that extends all the way to the outskirts of the Las Vegas area. If the train hits its maximum speed anywhere, it will probably be here. As a result, I'll be simulating the speed at 200 miles per hour as a tribute to commenter Brian Bundridge until the California-Nevada state line, and then 180 miles per hour thereafter. The train is still in the median at grade, and naturally, just after cleaning my windshield at the Valley Wells rest area, a bug managed to squash itself in the view. Almost at state line, the track or tracks in the median will rise and cross over the freeway to the right. The train will then parallel the freeway on the right-hand side, more or less at grade for about 20 miles, now at 180 miles per hour. just about to the former Terrible's Casino in Jean, Nevada, and I'm just about to run out of juice on my camera battery. Luckily, I managed to get a couple of minutes of somewhat usable footage with my phone on top of my steering wheel at various points after this. As you can see, with the help of Google Earth, the rest of this is pretty straight and flat until the outskirts of the Vegas area. By the way, watch this phone footage coming up at your risk. It's a little janky. Still at 180 miles per hour simulated. About in this area, the track will once more rise and cross over the freeway from the right side to the median. This is also roughly the location of a small pass, and the route is all downhill from here to the Las Vegas area, which you can see in the upper right hand corner. We're now approaching the Las Vegas area, and at this point the speed limit lowers to 125 miles per hour, so I am adjusting the simulated speed accordingly. The tracks will be at grade in the median. Coming up on St. Rose Parkway, the track will once again rise in the median, cross over the freeway, and then run along the right-hand eastern side of the freeway at grade. From here until just before the station, the train will be single-tracked and will run in a very narrow right-of-way between the freeway and a bunch of properties of various types, which would be about 6 miles. The station area would occupy about a third of the big empty patch to the right of the freeway here, and then you can get a general feel of the distance from the station to the Las Vegas Strip area. This is coming up on Blue Diamond Road, which is about where the station will be located. The train will be behind the wall on the right, assuming that stays in place. Speed here will be slow due to sound and vibration impacts, likely under 70 miles per hour. You have the Silverton Casino on the left. This will be the closest legit casino to the station. It's roughly a mile travel-wise. And we have finally made it to Vegas, or Paradise, or close anyway. Here's the view from across the street at the Las Vegas South Premium Outlets. A couple of views up and down Las Vegas Boulevard. Mandalay Bay is clearly visible to the north. The other direction you can just make out South Point. Both of those are about 2.5 miles from the station location, as is Allegiant Stadium. Huge development potential in the vacant area that is roughly the same footprint as 3 mega resorts. And as you can see, there is other land available in the general area as well. It's not the heart of the strip, but there are things around there, the outlets, a sizable mall, condos, and hotel chain resorts, plus the Silverton. The plan is to have all sorts of buses and casino shuttles hook up there, plus the Las Vegas Loop is supposed to end up there eventually. No rendering of the station yet, but I would expect typical Vegas flash if the airport authority allows it. I've been looking into Vegas news lately. Vegas has a lot going on, new casinos. Apparently the Oakland A's are going to be relocated there. So we'll have to watch and see if or when Brightline West gets added to that list. That completes the tour of the second half of the Brightline West route from Apple Valley to Las Vegas. Hope you enjoyed it. I have more high-speed rail content planned, including updates of California high-speed rail and Brightline West when they come in, but that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big beautiful freeway.